And how am I to face the odds of man's bedevilment and God's? I, a stranger and afraid, in a world I never made. In the writings of contemporary psychologists and sociologists, one encounters these lines from A.E. Housman's poem, more and more often today, quoted as an eloquent summation of the sense of life and psychological plight of 20th century man. In book after book of social commentary, one finds the same message. Modern man is overwhelmed by anxiety. Modern man suffers from an anxiety crisis. Modern man is alienated. As one sociologist puts it, who am I? Where am I going? Do I belong? These are the crucial questions man asks himself in modern mass society. Close quote. The concept of alienation, in its original psychiatric usage, denoted the mentally ill, the severely mentally ill, often, particularly in legal contexts, the insane. It was the philosopher Hegel who introduced the concept of alienation outside of its psychiatric context to the modern world. The term alienation was taken over by Karl Marx. He applied the concept primarily to the worker. The worker's alienation was inevitable, Marx asserted, with the development of the division of labor, specialization, exchange, and private property. The worker must sell his services. Thus, said Marx, he comes to view himself as a commodity. He becomes alienated from the product of his own labor, and his work is no longer the expression of his powers, of his inner self. Since the time of Marx, the idea of alienation has been used more and more extensively by psychologists, sociologists, and philosophers, gathering to itself a wide variety of usages and meanings. Certain writers, notably those of a Freudian or Jungian orientation, declare that the complexity of modern industrial society has caused man to become over-civilized, to have lost touch with the deeper roots of his being, to have become alienated from his instinctual nature. Others, notably those of an existentialist or Zen Buddhist orientation, complain that our advanced technological society compels man to live too intellectually, to be ruled by abstractions, thus alienating him from the real world which he can experience in its wholeness only via his emotions. Others, notably those of a petulant mediocrity orientation, decry specifically the alienation of the artist. They assert that, with the vanishing of the age of patrons, with the artist thrown on his own resources to struggle in the marketplace, which they say is ruled by Philistines, the artist is condemned to fight a losing battle for the preservation of his spiritual integrity, because he is too besieged by material temptations. Most of these writers declare that the problem of alienation and of man's search for identity is not new, but has been a source of anguish to man in every age and culture. But they insist that today, in Western civilization, above all in America, the problem has reached an unprecedented severity. It has become a crisis. What is responsible for this crisis? What has alienated man and deprived him of identity? The answer given by most writers on alienation is not always stated explicitly, but, in their countless disparaging references to, quote, the dehumanizing effects of industrialism, soul-destroying commercialism, the arid rationalism of a technological culture, the vulgar materialism of the West, etc. The villain in their view of things, the destroyer whom they hold chiefly responsible, is not hard to identify. It is capitalism.